So congratulations, you finished your first essay, and now we're starting on the second essay, which at the outset students often find is a relief. They think, whoa, a value paper, good, I know how to write about whether something is right or wrong, moral or immoral. And to a large degree that's true. I think most students are much more familiar with this particular mode of argument writing. However, there are some pitfalls to this kind of writing that sometimes students don't consider. The first thing that you need to realize when you're writing a paper about values is that your audience is comprised of reasonable people who disagree. You should be writing to persuade, which means that you're writing with two people or four people who disagree with you. So they disagree, but they're reasonable. Now, with that group of people in mind as your audience, you need to be careful about things like word choice, the way you frame the topic, because remember, they disagree. So let's say that you are writing an essay about gun control, some issue of gun control, and you want to argue that gun ownership in certain circumstances is right or wrong. Well, if I disagree with you and you paint, let's say that you're advocating for tighter gun control, and you, let's say, refer to or imply that people who want less strict gun control laws are hicks or are somehow unintelligent, or if you imply anything that could be seen as insulting or demeaning, what it's likely to do to your audience is it's likely to turn them off to your argument. This happens a lot of times when students tackle particularly controversial issues. Often they try to make, they use terms that paint the other side as somehow immoral or unethical. That doesn't help you persuade this group of people. Now, because they are reasonable people, they can be persuaded by logic and reason. Some people tend to think that, well, if I hold a position and I change my mind, that makes me weak. Well, no, not necessarily. In some cases, I think that changing one's mind, being persuaded by a good argument, is a sign of strength. So this gets us into the next question. What's a good argument? Well, you all know by now, having written a paper, that a good argument is an argument that can be backed by credible, relevant sources. And this gets students into another problem sometimes with value papers. Many times, the positions that we hold about the rightness or wrongness of something, our values have been informed many times, not always, by religion. I happen to be a religious person myself. But that can get students into trouble with an academic audience. Let me give you an example of what I mean. So let's say that you are eating a great big juicy hamburger, and I run up to you and I say, stop, 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 you gotta stop. And you look kind of confused, but you're a reasonable person, and so you say, well, why, Leona? And I say, Hindu teachings tell us that it's wrong to eat beef. Well, unless you are a Hindu, it's unlikely that that argument is going to be able to sway you. Now, I have great respect for Hinduism. I have family members who are Hindu, but unless I'm a Hindu, that argument isn't going to work. Similarly, if you use other kinds of religious arguments for your audience, they're probably not going to work either, because you have to remember, the academic community is comprised of people of many different faiths and also of people of no faith. So what you have to do then is you have to find sources that are going to seem reasonable and credible to the whole plurality of the academic community. And when you appeal to morals or ethics, as you may do in this paper, they have to be morals and ethics that are universally held by the academic community. And there are many morals and ethics that are held universally. So those are 2 warnings that I like to give to my students who are pursuing value claim papers. The first is, remember that you're writing to reasonable people who disagree with you, and that means you need to take care not to paint them, the people who disagree with you, as somehow bad people. They're not bad people. They are reasonable people who disagree with you, whom you're going to persuade to, if not take your point of view, at least consider your point of view more seriously. The second thing to remember is that although this is a paper that treats issues of value, issues of morality, ethics, desirability, you need to be using sources and appealing to values that are going to be seen as credible for the whole academic community. So those are 2 things I want you to consider. There's one final thing that I'd like you to consider as you're deciding on a topic for this value claim paper, and that is the power of personal experience. In our society today, personal experience actually counts for quite a lot. If you have experience with an issue, that gives you a certain measure of authority to speak about that issue. So as you're thinking about a topic for your value claim paper, I'd like you to consider writing about a topic with which you have personal experience. Now, our discussion board this week should help you to brainstorm some ideas for topics with which you may have some experience. All right, so those are the 3 things I want you to think about as you pursue your readings and your assignments for this week and begin to work on our 3rd major assignment for the semester, the value claim paper. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. I will be monitoring the discussion board carefully this week, looking at your ideas for topics, and I'll look forward to watching these papers develop. I'll be starting your papers, grading your papers this very week, and you should have a graded copy of your paper back by the end of the week. So that's everything. As I said, let me know if you have any questions, and have a great week.